Hello everyone, this is part 55 of What If Naruto Learned the Secret of Shadow Clone, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Naruto always had a smile on his face as he wandered through the forest surrounding his clan's home. Having climbed a hill overlooking the compound, lake and transported Uchiha district, he took in the view as the sun was beginning to set. He didn't have a lot of spare time at the moment, but as the sky began to change colors he turned away to travel deeper into the wilds. The sea breeze wafted through the trees and stirred a few birds into flight, while his longer hair tickled his ears. It was peaceful here, perfection really. You're turning into a vagabond, you should cut it. I like it, maybe I'll pull it back into a ponytail soon. Gross, you'll look even more like a Ronin. Naruto rolled his eyes at Kurama's grumbling. Ino and Tayuya liked his hair, and Kotohime liked to brush it and update him about her day while doing so was precious bonding time, so it was here to stay. Correction, they like having something to pull. That too, Naruto could admit. Stepping off of the small game trail he had found during his construction of the compound, he laid eyes on a small barely noticeable altar. It was new, built by his own hands. A simple pile of rocks formed with earth manipulation that was capped with a wide and flat bit of smooth marble. Placing his hand upon it, a matrix of seals sprung to life. Not worried someone followed you. Naruto shook his head. I checked. We're alone. Then let's get this over with. The baths called to me. Feeling a pull much like that of the Hiraishin, Naruto let the seal whisk him away. In a blink, instead of the sounds of birds and the ocean waves, he was met with a grayscale nothing. Touching down on a gray cube, not exactly stone or metal, Naruto sighed and pulled free a different scroll. Time to face the music, so to speak. Tossing the scroll ahead of him, there was a moment of smoke, before the black half of Zetsu was tossed on the floor, looking around in wonder and confusion. Hey there, welcome to nothing. A space in between. Your new home unless you wanna start answering some questions. Standing and raising his guard, Zetsu eyed the Uzumaki cautiously. What have you done? Rolling his eyes, Naruto sat cross-legged in mid-air, floating and eyeing the entity before him. In the last few hours. Nothing I'd repeat to you. Honoka had been rather determined lately. And pregnant she may be, Kotohime was always quick to join in when available. As for the here and now, I just explained, here to get answers. From you specifically. That's so hard to understand. No, this isn't right. Turning and dashing away, Zetsu left the edge of the platform, only to fall into the abyss. What was this? Why couldn't he feel chakra here? Why couldn't he manipulate anything? It couldn't be a genjutsu, not one that worked on him. As he turned and watched the platform fall away, he considered if this was his fate. To fall away into nothingness until he faded. After all his hard work and dedication, this was to be his failure. And then with a groan and a wet smacking of flesh, Zetsu was once more before a bored-looking Naruto. Yeah, can you not? Time might not have any real meaning here, but it's still boring to watch you flail about. Already dashing off into a new direction, Zetsu ignored Naruto while trying to shift his chakra. I will escape, and rend the world in two for your insolence. Hit by an invisible force, Zetsu was sent barreling off high above Naruto, who was watching him with cold eyes and a hand outstretched. Yeah, none of that either. Villain ESC threats get old after the first few. Naruto counted to 5, before yet again Zetsu was left smashing into the floor with no visible damage. That doesn't get old. Not thinking, Zetsu launched himself in yet another direction. Barely making it to the edge of the platform this time, he found himself slammed right back into the same spot he had been in before. With a slow groan and final acceptance that there was no leaving, he relented. Pulling himself to his feet again, Zetsu once more watched Naruto cautiously. You shouldn't be able to do this. And yet, here we are. It's part of the reason you've done your best to destroy the Uzumaki, isn't it? Our seals and research. Here cold eyes bored into Zetsu's own, not the world-ending stuff. Not the masks, barriers or bombs. No, it was this. The ability to create and cross worlds. That was what you were afraid of. Seeing Zetsu gearing up to scream something, Naruto waved a hand, sending Zetsu careening off into the void with a scream. Counting to 10, Naruto watched Zetsu again appear before him, smashing into the floor harder than before. First thing, I don't consider you important at all. Now that I've had a visit to the Uzumaki shrine, I have a better idea of just what you are. I have even less respect for you, impossible though that may be. Grunting and struggling to his knees, Zetsu glared at the floating Uzumaki, and just what am I? A useless shade. A remnant of something much greater. Barely a memory that's worth any effort or time to bother with. Naruto allows his body to float off a bit, wondering how to best rile up Zetsu. I wonder, at this point, is it even worth bringing back Kaguya? A gamble now. Naruto had no real information beyond that name and Zetsu's connection with it. But would Zetsu bite the bait? Blinking in surprise, Zetsu doesn't like the feeling that washes over him. The boy knew. He had to know what Zetsu had been trying to accomplish. It was the only way. Why else would the Uzumaki utter that name now? And Uzumaki who had learned how to bend reality to his will. What is it? What are you really after? If you know about our goddess, then surely you know more. Zetsu tried to force his hands to stop trembling, and failed. It was all beginning to make sense. No normal human could control reality itself to this degree. What is your plan for the Otsutsuki's return? You must be thinking of something. Yes, you have to be. Kaguya can help you. You'll need her power, her strength. Listening to Zetsu rant, Naruto mentally grinned. Give a few open-ended words, lead the shade on, and he sung easily enough with his own conclusions. Naruto hadn't known anything about the Otsutsuki, or who or what Kaguya really was. Hey, everyone forgets he can be sneaky. Why would I need her? If she was so powerful, why am I here and she isn't? Those traitorous sons of hers. Anger peaking, Zetsu lost himself in memories. She gave them and humanity everything they asked for. She ended the countless wars, brought peace and stability to the world, all at the cost of cutting ties to her clan and becoming a god. And what thanks did she receive? Called a demon, betrayed, sealed away by her brats. Chuckling to himself, Zetsu was forever angry that Homura ran away to the moon, his mother's dried-out husk, far outside of Zetsu's own reach. Hagoromo, however, but I saw to it. I am to be the instrument of her revival. So she can ascend to her rightful place as the god of this world. And yet, here you are. Yes, Zetsu came back to his senses, eyes locked onto the man he needed to see reason. To understand the bigger picture. But you don't fully understand yet. The Otsutsuki, they are beings that so far surpass humanity it can't be fully described. They are gods. They will rend your world to add to their power and then move on. More worlds to fuel themselves while this world is left an empty and barren waste. But you and I, Kaguya, we can stop them. Put an end to it. You only need to join hands with her and follow her will. Taking a deep breath and sighing, Naruto considered all that he had learned in the last few minutes. So, Kaguya was an alien then. More like her were coming. Just great. Do you know when? No, I am just her will, my memories are not complete. But she, yes, she can give you all the information you need. You'll see, reviving her is for the best. I can feel it. You only need the chakra of 3 of the beasts now. And her body. While Zetsu could not manipulate this world or himself, he still had his words. He could shift this boy to his way of thinking. Kaguya would be revived. All else was irrelevant. Naruto pointed lazily at the partial will of Kaguya, and you. Can't forget you'll need to be sacrificed as well. So be it, if it means our goddess is returned to this world. Yup. Like I said, a mama's boy with a complex. But, I see your point. Really, the only thing Naruto saw was that if he wanted the full picture, he would need Kaguya. Question was how much was necessary to bring her back. Did she need the full power of the Biju, or just a small amount? Did she only need her body and Zetsu? These were where the gambles and questions came into real play. I'm putting 20 Ryo on her jumping your bones in the first 10 minutes. And risk the wrath of the girls. No dice. Never happening. She is a self-proclaimed goddess. You really wanna pass that up? Ino and Hinata both alone are more a goddess than this Kaguya will ever be. Add in the rest of the girls and Kaguya has no chance. Rolling his eyes as Kurama returned to his grumbling, Naruto considered his options. The history had been clear. A being split apart, a world-ending calamity bearing 10 tails. One all-seeing eye. So, in short, if I get this right, I need either all or part of all of the Biju, the body of Kaguya, and you. Seeing hope enter Zetsu's eyes, Naruto allowed him to keep it. From there Kaguya will be reborn, and we can fight against the darkness together. Yes, yes, you understand. You see it. You crave for peace, don't you? Always have, always will. So has she. All she wants is peace for humanity. If that means standing against her people, she was committed to doing so. Zetsu could feel it, he was shifting the boy to his side. If this being could be convinced to work towards Kaguya's revival, then all of Zetsu's machinations were worth it. Sure, they all failed on their own, but Naruto would cement her resurrection. Naruto made a show of thinking about it, a hand to his chin as he hummed. And what should I expect from this partnership? Lady Kaguya will accept you with open arms. You've proven without a doubt in my eyes that you can stand by her side. More than power, knowledge. You've surpassed everyone before you by leaps and bounds. Yes, she will accept you, a descendant of her own line. Zetsu made it to his feet, spreading his arms open wide with a mad smile. We can ensure that your people, Azushio, stands for the next 1,000 years. None will stand against you. Why? We can tear down and remake the world as you see fit. Just consider the possibilities. Naruto did in fact consider everything, before tossing it all out of the window. Tear down the world. He had given up that thought ages ago. It was so boring. Better to allow the chaos of humanity to do its thing. Life was much more interesting that way. But, he needed Zetsu docile for now, so a little lie was needed. You know, I have a feeling that Kaguya once revived will ultimately betray me for her own goals. Can you assure me that won't happen? Zetsu nods enthusiastically. Of course. I am her will after all. I assure you that if you revive her and pledge yourself to her, she will accept you and your people. A lie, but necessary. This boy was a reincarnation of Asura. Brother to Indra and children of one of the brothers that had sealed away the goddess. No, she would not bow before this whelp. Take your time, think on things. If you are set on this, I shall make myself useful to you in the meantime. Showing some surprise, Naruto floated down some. Oh, how so? I can tell you where the body of Uchiha Madara is. The real one. Zetsu knew Naruto would know what to do with this information. It was a necessary acquisition after all. Grinning internally, Naruto nodded and listened as Zetsu gave him the location with great detail. A gift for Sasuke then. Or maybe, an idea for later. Naruto began to float away, mind simmering with possibilities. I'll hold you to that. Like I said, time doesn't mean anything in here, so to you I should only be gone a moment. But I have duties to perform in the meantime. Naruto winked at the hopeful-looking shade, happy for now with this outcome, till Kaguya's revival. Yes, till Kaguya's revival. And then Naruto was gone, standing before the stone altar with a frown on his face. Well shit. Well shit is right. What now? Know the first thing about fighting literal kami. Turning and walking away, Naruto stuffed his hands in his pockets. Does fighting you count? Not even close, and you know it. A being like Kaguya is leagues above me, loath I am to admit it. Ah, cheer up, buddy, I'm sure you've got a more winning personality than her. Trying to keep himself in a good mood, Naruto joked around a bit. Guess there's no chance a version 4 would be enough for her, huh? If she is in fact a literal goddess by our definition, probably not. Grunting and loosing a hand to scrub at his head, Naruto cursed egomaniacs who refused to die. Guess the only way we're going to get the full picture at this point is to either revive Kaguya, or time travel. Messing with time is a bad idea. Such a bad idea in fact that I'm firmly against it. It could be fun. Think of the fights we could get into. And think about the bullshit you could stumble into. You want to end up your own grandfather or something. Maybe responsible for the fall of a nation capable of saving the world. I don't think I could mess up that badly. Wanna bet? Naruto paused as they reached the same overlook from earlier. He could just make out Kikyo and a few of the others in the garden with Ino. Further away, was that Sasuke, Sakura and Amaru at the lake. Sure looked like it. Not far from them Hinata, Honoka and Kotohime all were at the water's edge, chatting away about who knew what while a happy-looking Sauta swam to his heart's content. A smile worked its way on his face. This was what life should be like. Yeah, maybe time travel is a bad idea. Finally, I thought I could never talk you out of a bad idea. I'd like to mention, the version 4 is completely your idea, against my better judgment. It is a bomb dedicated to eradicating everything in existence within a certain radius. Complete and total destruction from reality itself. What can go wrong? Naruto sighed as he began to walk back down the pathway home. You just had to jinx it, didn't you? I regret nothing. Kurama had a grin on his face as Naruto continued down the hill back home. So, we revive Kaguya, beat the tar out of her, and get our answers. Part of me wants to veto the idea purely because it feels like you only want to revive her so you can have a good fight. I never said that. Silence stretched between the two as Naruto walked, and Kurama cracked first. I need excitement. Kami, why don't I just release you and the Matabi for a month and let you two go at it? You can do that. Why didn't you say that sooner? You're such a horn dog. Fox. I'm a fox. Both shared a laugh, before Kurama sobered. This is really happening, isn't it? You know it, buddy. You still with me? I gotta be the strongest, right? Just like we promised. Kurama nodded. That's right, and I'll help you along, just as I vowed. Naruto travels the distance quickly, descending the hill and coming from the tree line at the rear of the grounds. Kikyo was one of the first to see him, offering a wave that drew the others' attention towards him. We don't have much longer, huh? You'll need to come clean with them, remember that. Oh right, couldn't forget that. How many pieces do you think they'll leave me in? Oh, just in the one that matters. I'm more than just my dick, ya know. News to me, you horny gaki. Oh fuck you, you ancient slacker. Fuck you, you hairless monkey. Fuck you. Fuck you. B. Night had fallen and the assault group from Kumo had made camp. Parked squarely in the land of hot water, they were making south to the border with the ocean. Y was only known to A, but B had a feeling and it certainly wasn't good. That said, as the support team hunkered down to rest, Saturn stared into the campfire looking for all purposes like his mind was 1,000 miles away. Seated across from him, B worried over how to start this conversation, before deciding winging it was best. That was what he did after all. Your funeral. More like yours and mine if we fail. No, just yours. I'll reform after some time, thank you very much. Grumbling about know it all Biju, B cleared his throat, knowing he had A's attention with the other man's twitch. Bro, you know, this is a drastic action. Konoha will get involved. Then Suna, and Kiri even. This is a big spark to light, are you sure this is alright? So too will Iwa and many of the smaller nations. Unless they want a world war, they'll let Izu fall. Besides, this wasn't a true declaration of war. Just a retrieval of property. B-side, wanting to toss the rakeage into a hot spring by this point. Or maybe find the pent-up man a prostitute or 5. Why couldn't he see reason here? You really think they'll just abandon them? Why not? They did so before. That was a point, wasn't it? Konoha had allowed the previous Izushio to fall with little complaint. The world had benefited after all. Even still, times had changed. Things are different, aren't they? The Izushio of now has much more support and goodwill to their name. People believe in them, not just ninja or lords hoping to use them. Citizens far and wide have heard their story, and are looking to their own homes for change. A locked his gaze on B, eyes focused as he took in his partner. Was this an attempt to derail the mission? Subterfuge. Had B been compromised? He had let the boy go once before, hadn't he? Why are you so focused on this? Well, why indeed? B considered how to explain this without sounding like a coward or overly influenced by his Biju. Sure, he and Gyuki could see eye to eye. Barely these days. Sure, he and Gyuki could see eye to eye, but ultimately B was the one supposed to be in charge. If I had the feeling that B wasn't in control, well, things would change, quickly. You know me, bro, just want to be in the know. More. Lot of life isn't high on my list. I'd rather talk, rap it out, leave no doubt. Relieved, I chuckled as indeed B had always been that way, but I couldn't back down. It wasn't his way. As a leader he needed to be firm, focused. There could be no doubt as to their mission and ideals. Strength of character and person. I hear you, B, but this is the course we need to take. Sighing but feeling some hesitation there, B decided to try again tomorrow. Until then, however, so what's the plan? Turned his eyes south, looking through the trees as if he could spy Azushio from here with his eyesight alone. We'll hit the ocean. You'll transform and carry us to the closest Azu island. From there we'll sneak through, use the water to our advantage, and if caught, we'll make a mad dash for the main island. Poseidon tossed a broken twig into the fire, watching the sparks dance for a time. Once there we'll finish the mission I originally called for. Hit targets of interest, recover whatever property we can, and return home after beating the tar out of the QB boy. I'd like to drag him back and extract his biju. But killing him will be worth it alone. Here B did sigh, shaking his head as he stood. You really think we'll be able to kill him? You and I together? Yes. B turned to walk away, decided this was enough for tonight, if you say so. I watched B leave, letting the container go for now. The thought of killing one of his own must be a hard topic, so he'd forgive him the disrespect. Get some rest, we have another long day tomorrow. They had no choice. Kumo's future hung in the balance. He had to hit first. He hoped B could realize that soon. Kumo came before his status as a Jinchuriki. It was their way. Unknown to him, B was having another conversation of his own. Gyuki not giving up his perspective. He's going to get you killed. Best to leave and be on your own way. And abandon my people, my home. No chance. You'll die. Remember that. And like I told you before, I refuse to die for something completely preventable. I won't die. That a promise. Gyuki waited, sitting in silence as B jumped up and into the trees to take first watch. The moonlight just barely cut through the canopy above him, but it wasn't enough to lift his mood. Something Gyuki pounced on, you can't do that, can you? Hush, I need my rest. Dead men need their beauty sleep, that it. B could feel his biju fade back into his mind, locking himself away where B couldn't force him out for now. No, he'd come around by morning. B had said he would keep trying. They hadn't reached worst case scenario just yet. They still had time. Looking up as the tree cover swayed in the breeze and he could make out the half moon above them, he sighed and anchored himself a bit better with chakra. They had to. B. Tayuya did her best not to giggle as she stood before Naruto's wall of weapons. Its newest addition, Samehada, sat dead center behind her, rustling and rubbing its scales together periodically. She had wondered at first, why every time the Chinook, the Zozensho, or the Spring Engineers came up with something Naruto asked for a version for himself. Over time and seeing him spend afternoons and evenings familiarizing himself with each and every one, she decided it made sense. Good to know what their tools were capable of. Though, there was also the guess that even now he was still a boy with his toys. Now however, her mirth came from the standing at attention Isaribi, bandaged lightly but cleared to leave the hospital. Dressed in dark blue capri pants over a lighter blue one-piece wetsuit, black ninja sandals and a black short jacket, the Uzumaki considered that the Undertow leader was looking well. Befitting her position once more. Tayuya swore if the woman stood any straighter though she might fall over. Naruto had a smirk on his face as he stood behind his desk, Gosu behind him at one shoulder while Neji stood at the other. In his hand was a new headband design, the plate bearing their Whirlpool insignia but also radiating waves were etched into the background. This he came forward and held out to Isaribi. For holding out against known S-class criminal and nearly defeating him, Hoshigaki Kisame. For defending Azushio from untold destruction and lost lives. For putting the lives of others before your own. I Uzumaki Naruto promote you to our riptide ranks. Waiting for the shorter woman to bow sharply and accept the new headband, Naruto smirked as she affixed it to her right arm proudly before standing tall before him again. Nodding his head to her and taking a step back, he continued. I hope you continue to serve Azushio and her people well, and you continue to advance as you wish. Isaribi bowed again, eyes to the floor as pride filled her. I hope to continue to make you proud, Lord Azuki. Fighting the urge to roll his eyes and literally feeling the mirth rolling off of Tayuya, Naruto instead started to walk towards his wall. Your weapon was destroyed, yes. Isaribi stood once more, watching Naruto walk away and wondering if he was upset about that. Yes sir. My apologies. It was a fine weapon. She paused as her eyes flicked to Gosu whose face was carefully neutral. I haven't yet commissioned a new one from the Chinook, I'll make sure to do so after I've been cleared for duty. Sakura had told her no sooner than 2 weeks, but she was sure she could weasel out of it. The sea was calling her. Naruto nodded, passing by Tayuya with a hidden grin. A weapon like that is just a tool. You are much more valuable than that, and I'd rather a mountain of destroyed tridents if it means you return to us. Missing the determined look that drew across Isarabi's face, he continued on as he made a show of considering the wall. Well, seeing as you haven't done that yet, I'd like to do something for you instead. Taking Samehada from the collection, he turned back and walked towards the woman with suddenly wide eyes. I made a promise, to find a worthy wielder for Samehada. It likes me well enough, but I think someone who made Kisam's blood boil so hotly would be more suited. Naruto was again standing before her, holding the weapon out to her with a calm smile on his face. You can refuse, of course, but I think it has taken a liking to you. Staring down at the weapon of the man who nearly killed her, Isarabi was brought up short. This was one of the legendary weapons of the mist. There was no other like it in the world. It was unique even among those unique weapons in that it had a mind of its own. It could fight with you, or against you. To be considered worthy of it was, frankly, humbling. I couldn't. Naruto held it out a bit more firmly, still smiling. I think you could. You deserve a weapon that can match your will. To fight against the worst of the worst. To pick yourself up even as you know you will die. To fight knowing it is for more than just yourself. You can refuse, I suppose, but you might hurt its feelings. That and Kisame himself acknowledged you as strong. That is 3 for 3 on recommendations. Samehada rustled in his grasp, impatience rolling through his mind in response. Sir, Tayuya finally came forward, leaning in a bit towards the conflicted Riptide member. Honestly, I'd rather you take it as well. If you don't, Naruto's going to try and wield it and Kubakiri both together. It's ridiculous and I'd rather avoid the insanity. Huffing, Naruto rolled his eyes towards his wife. Dual-wielding Samehada and Kubakiri would be awesome. You're overpowered as is. Let it go. Watching her lord and his wife laugh together, Isarabi really thought about it. If she had had a stronger weapon, could she have fought more evenly? Would she have won more? Was she really worthy of this? No. Kisame had acknowledged her. Lord Naruto acknowledged her. Apparently Samehada itself acknowledged her. What would it be like to fight with a weapon like that? Would she find that feeling again, that heat in her heart that pushed her well past her limits? She reached a hand out. Naruto nearly cursed as Samehada jumped out of his grasp, rustling almost happily as Isarabi caught it by the handle, almost surprised by its lightness. Naruto could see the confusion on her face and decided to explain, what I figure from my own sword, they have a bit of seal work in them. They'll be lighter than a feather to those they've chose to serve. You'll need to train with it, but you'll get used to it quickly. Isarabi stared at the massive weapon, almost in the trance and eyes shining before she seemed to come to. A determination entered her eyes as she turned back to Naruto. Placing the weapon on her back and feeling it adhere there with chakra, she smirked. I'll make you proud, Lord Naruto. You already have. Walking around and returning to his seat, Naruto relaxed a bit. Formalities done, go and relax. Recuperate. I don't want to see you anywhere near the mission floor or even the tower really for at least 2 weeks. No trying to talk your way out of it either. Naruto was already pulling free a folder as he held a hand up to Gosu behind him. Enjoy your vacation. You'll be under guard for the duration, call it, a perk of your promotion. Gosu blinked in surprise, his face matched by Isarabi. Sir. Oh, was that a refusal? Need I find someone else to guard our hero? Gosu was next to Isarabi in an instant. I shall guard our recovering Riptide member to the best of my abilities. Nodding and waving him off as Tayuya came over and sat on the edge of his desk, Naruto looked for all the world as too busy to care. You better. Now get going, I have work to do. Tayuya chuckled as the pair left, Isarabi bumping the doorway as they left. She needed time to adjust to the massive weapon she now owned. You meddler you. You're one to talk. Behind him, Neji chuckled into a fist. Think they'll finally tie the knot. Naruto sure as hell hoped so. Maybe that woman would stop taking so many patrols. They better. And you, do I need to lock you and that Kana woman in a closet somewhere? Shaking his head as he knew Naruto would do it, Neji sighed and gave up. I'll make a better effort. You better. Hinata keeps griping that she wants to be an aunt and Hanabi is way too young to even consider that yet. Things were good now. Sure, they still had problems on the horizon, but it was his duty to make sure Azushio could weather them. One day without him, He couldn't be everywhere at once after all. Tayuya shifted a bit, picking up a paper Naruto was ignoring and scanning it. Request for construction of a grand arena. That could be fun, and they did need something like that. On the opposite side of a Vizushio from the Uzumaki shrine, closer to the coast. Easy approval then. Picking up a pen she signed away while Naruto gave her a raised eyebrow. What? Naruto took the form from her. You're off duty yourself, you know. Are you not grateful for the help? Seeing Naruto grumble and put the form into his outbox, she smirked and leaned in. Oh, don't pout. I can make it up to you later. Here she wiggled her eyebrows at him, earning a chuckle from him. That aside, what's the plan for the rest of the day? No plan. I'll probably create some clones to finish up the rest and go visit Temari. She's been holed up with Kankuro and Gaara in the diplomat residence and I think she might be losing it by now. It was the least he could do. Plus the girls had been wanting to drag her off for something. He didn't need to know apparently and he was happy to let them handle it. Tayuya approved of that as well. Better to be away from this office when it was such a nice day out. I really need to get on learning that shadow clone technique. Oh, the uses she could get out of it. Leaning back with a groan, Naruto pushed away from his desk and stood, doing as he said and making 3 clones. You guys good? Aye aye, Captain. One clone saluted smartly while the other 2 facepalmed. Already coming around his desk with Neji following, Naruto snaked a hand around Tayuya's middle. Be good, don't get up to trouble, and there'll be fun later. Tayuya was already leaning into him as they walked. How about a deep fried pickle? I'm hungry. God, your cravings are weird. Naruto waved to a smirking Yugito as they walked by her desk. Was she eyeing his office? No, he didn't want to know. Behind them, Neji followed along in silence, idly adjusting his bundled rifle at his shoulder. Should I stick around, Lord Naruto? Naruto shook his head while looking over his shoulder at Neji. Nah. Go ahead and head home. Enjoy a day off. Bowing his head lightly, Neji instead turned to head deeper into the admin office, as you say. Naruto was curious, but Tayuya was already pulling him into the elevator. What did I miss? Nothing special. Neji has started taking on some clan head duties. Ah, yeah, I should know that already, shouldn't I? The way Tayuya was leering at him let him know that he was going to get an earful later. Time to deflect. Pulling her by the hand into his chest, he looked down on the slightly shorter woman who molded into him nearly perfectly. So, you've got me all to yourself, call it a date day. Humming and enjoying the closeness, Tayuya once more marveled that she was so comfortable in the embrace of another. A few years ago she couldn't have even dreamed of this, much less the change in her life. We could, but something tells me we're going to gain a third before the day is over. She cuddled into his chest further, wrapping her arms around his waist as they descended down to the ground floor. Though I suppose a triple date wouldn't be a bad idea. Naruto accepted the warmth from her with a smile, idly running a hand through her longer hair. It looked to nearly reach her knees now. Should we consider someone else as a third in charge? You'll eventually be stuck at home. Rolling her eyes at his overprotectiveness, Tayuya pulled away as she felt the elevator slow. Normally I would have said Hinata, or maybe Kotohime. But of course, you decided to knock up both of them as well. Pervert. Jumping a little as Naruto gave her a swat to the behind, Tayuya smirked at him from over her shoulder as she turned to face the doors. Didn't Kakashi migrate over? He's technically on loan. What about that teacher? Iruka. He's taken to our academy with gusto. Plus, you'd have to convince Anko. Shuddering at what would be required to convince that woman of anything, Tayuya shook her head. Naruto actually seemed to consider that as the doors opened and they both stepped out into the hustle and bustle of the lower lobby. Possible. He's been around long enough. Though he'd probably reject it. Naruto chuckled as they weaved through traffic. How about Deidara? Mention him again, and no fun time for you for at least a month. Tayuya could admit that Deidara had become a bit of a celebrity in their ranks. His devotion to Naruto was astounding. Plus the utter destruction he had wreaked on the invading Iwa ninja had been rather inspiring. However, he was and still is, a complete nutcase. The fact you found someone even more insane than you is impressive. Naruto grinned as they came to the front doors. Explosions are awesome. Tayuya shrugged as he held the main entrance doors open for her. He rejoined her as they passed the monument together. today surrounded by light blue and yellow flowers while the donated glass from Deodara seemed to sparkle extra bright. Wrapping an arm around her waist as they stepped into the flow of people traffic, Tayuya offered a silent prayer before refocusing on their task. Either way, Azu Ninja would prefer one of our own. It was weird to think about. Outside of the family, who of the normal forces could they turn to that had both the power and the prestige? Granted, if she polled their forces they would probably all say some variation of one of the Uzumaki clan. Maybe we should just keep the seat as an Uzumaki placement. Our ninja wouldn't mind. I'd rather the seat be offered based on merit, not just blood. Tayuya understood that, but there were the people to consider. Guess we'll just have to make sure all our kids are worthy of it then. Naruto put it out of his mind, it was a conversation they had time to figure out after all. Thoughts trailing, he stepped out of the street and ducked into the entryway of the visitor's residence. Clean and cared for as always, it should currently only be occupied by the Subaku siblings. Feeling the barrier seals sweep over them and let them pass, Naruto grinned as he came forward with Tayuya and knocked on the door. Both Tayuya and Naruto could hear shuffling and cursing inside, and quickly what sounded like fighting, before the door was quickly opened by a smiling and panting Temari. Dressed in her traditional battle kimono but now trimmed in orange, the four-ponytailed Suna ambassador was all smiles. Naruto. Tayuya, good to see you. Behind her there was a groan while Temari tucked a stray strand of hair behind an ear. Naruto leaned up a bit to spy Kankuro laid out on the floor. Do we wanna know? Temari was already pushing him back out the door, smile still firmly in place. He'll be fine. Say, let's go tour the city. I have all this free time and nothing to do after all. Why waste the day inside? She was a woman on a mission. She finally had a chance to have Naruto to herself, well, almost. But she'd take what she could get. Tayuya rolled her eyes as she took one side of Naruto while Temari latched onto the other. Guess armies is stop number 1. Naruto shrugged, being led along and back out onto the street. He certainly wasn't going to complain about having two lovely women on his arms. Nope. Naruto was a smart man, and knew to keep his mouth shut. Temari giggled and pulled his arm a bit tighter, and later, you can show me what I've been missing out on. Yup. Naruto knew well enough to just keep his mouth shut. Pain stared up at the neutral face of Jiraiya the Toad Sage. Even now after all these years there was a small spark of reverence for the man. If not for him, Pain would not be the man he was today. Akatsuki would not exist. He, Conan and Yahiko would probably have died cold and alone in some ditch without achieving anything. But now, after having been left to their own devices, Pain had more than enough negative feelings for the man as well. Why hadn't he taken him along? They could have been in Konoha, life would have been different. None of them would have had to die. He wouldn't have had to. Breaking his own train of thought, Pain sat up a bit straighter and considered what to do from here. I'm surprised you're here. Shrugging, Jiraiya kept his hands free and open. I was curious about what was going on in Rain. I've heard enough rumors about Akatsuki operating out of here and decided to come and see if it was true. Jiraiya gave them a smirk and relaxed a bit, glad to see I was right. Fortune was good to you then. A small dig, but enough as Jiraiya's good mood slowly evaporated. Pain allowed the silence to drag for a moment before folding his hands on his desk again. What is it you truly want here? If it's a fight you want, all you have to do is ask. It wasn't outside the realm of possibility that Konoha may finally be willing to wipe Am off the map. Pain wouldn't let it happen, but Jiraiya of all people would be capable of the task normally. It would just be a surprise that they would give a heads up first for once. Jiraiya easily waved a hand to dispel that thought. Not here for a fight, no. Just wanna talk. Get a feel for what it is you really want. With most of your heavy hitters gone, I'm curious what you plan to do from here. It was no real secret that Akatsuki members had been dropping like flies lately. Even still, he was curious. They were irrelevant. I'm waiting for judgment. Judgment. This was new. Pain nodded as Conan turned a concerned eye towards him. Correct. We both know by now who really is moving to shape this new world. Naruto Uzumaki. A member of my own clan, though I have renounced that connection. What will he determine is the best course of action from here on? Whatever he decides, I will follow it. Pain allowed a grin to stretch his face, Personally, I believe he will see my point of view as the truth. And he will come to me and help me complete my own dreams. Jiraiya sighed, hands on his hips as he worried a bit over how this was going to continue, and what was that again? Oh right, shared destruction. Death and destruction to outstrip everything ninja have ever perpetrated on each other in all the wars before now. With someone like Naruto, you could achieve that easily enough. Hell, by now you could probably do so yourself. The leader of Akatsuki did have to nod at that observation. He was capable of village levels of destruction on his own. But it wasn't enough. He was but one man. Becoming a threat all his own was nice, but he needed something that entire nations would fear. A fear so deep that even at a person's core, just the mention of it would send them into a terrified catatonia. I appreciate the flattery, but it isn't enough. What I seek is more grand, more final. I alone cannot achieve that. At least not yet. Sighing and turning his view to the large windows and out over the city before them, Jiraiya considered that. So, Pain knew he needed Naruto then, but also knew destruction wasn't the end goal. It was a reprogramming of humanity itself. A system shock away from violence and death. The sage could understand the ideal, even if he couldn't agree with the method. Fear only lasts so long. A generation, maybe two. But under your plan people will return to the old ways. Conflicts will begin again, lives sacrificed for all manner of reasons. Food, land, possessions. Prestige, honor, duty. Humans can make up as many reasons as there are stars in the sky to kill one another if pressed. There was silence between them all again as Pain had to agree with the sage. He wasn't wrong. Humans would find any and all reasons to kill one another. Even he knew, blasting a crater into humanity's psyche so deep that they averted themselves from blood and violence may just take more effort than possible. It was a fundamental change in just who and what they were. But, Pain was to become a god. He believed he could manage it. He had to. If Naruto fails, I will save humanity in the only way possible. I can't be stopped. Of course it wouldn't be that easy. Jiraiya could hope, but reality wasn't as nice. Well, for all our sake, I hope you're wrong. I think Naruto can find a better balance than you. Pausing to really think about it, Pain does nod and give Jiraiya that point. I agree in some way. It would be nice if young Naruto found a better way. But then, he had to lay bare the truth, he won't. And I'll be here to guide him on the true path. The world must know Pain. And we will introduce them all to it. Rinnegan eyes boring into Jiraiya's own, Pain did have to give his old teacher credit. He was standing there, listening. Not yelling about false hopes or offering platitudes of what could have been. He was listening, openly. At the least, he could answer Jiraiya's real question of the day. However, until such time that Naruto admits defeat. Until Naruto deems the world irredeemable. I will not move. I will focus on Omegakure and our people. We have suffered too much in the proxy wars of the major villages. So long as those cease, we will focus on our own. Pain did smirk here for a moment. Thanks to Naruto, we have no concern of conflicts between Suna and Iwa. So that does allow us to relax a great deal. While Pain was of the mind that the complete destruction of Iwa would have been the better option, he still applauded Naruto for accomplishing what he did. Neutralizing a major village in a day was beyond noteworthy. Even now, a new data entry into the bingo book was making the rounds. Of course, word of what Naruto accomplished in Iwa had already spread. For good or ill had yet to be seen just yet. Ticking off his major question of the day, Jiraiya considered what to do from here. He could leave, give the news to Tsunade and then Naruto and leave it at that. But what would that help? What would that solve? What about a helping hand? Time to offer something that wasn't his to offer. That had Pain raising his eyebrows a touch. An offer? Interesting. And what, pray tell, would this helping hand be? And what type of dagger does it hide? They were ninja. Stealth, secrecy, betrayal. It was all they knew. Jiraiya was already shaking his head. Nothing beyond help if you want it. Konoha is, well, I won't say responsible for everything that happened here, but we had more than a large hand in the destruction that took place here over the years. I give my word, Konoha can offer assistance. Help. Rebuilding efforts, relief aid. Supplies. Whatever you need, Konoha will be the first to offer a hand, no strings attached. You'll forgive me for not believing this at face value. I can understand your hesitation. Here Jiraiya finally smirked, some of himself finally poking through as he got more comfortable. But, I have it on good authority that the latest Hokage has a mindset much like Naruto's own. Tsunade wants peace. She abhors needless death and destruction. Just think. Konoha and Azushio offering assistance to Am. And who knows who else will come next. Sooner. Kiri. A collection of smaller villages. Grunting and leaning back in his seat, the leader of Akatsuki looked up to stare at his number 2. Was this your doing, Conan? This has your sentimentalism all over it. Conan shook her head. No. I only guided Lord Jiraiya here, nothing more. At the least, Pain knew that Conan wasn't going to lie to him. That allowed him to consider the possibility. What guarantee do we have that Konoha won't attempt to use us as yet another scapegoat in the future? Much like they did with Azushio Gakur. That Pain would trust Azushio's word without question was not itself seen an oddity. Naruto would help if asked and they all knew it. Here Jiraiya laid out his gamble, hands spreading wide, trust. Brought up short, Pain blinked in astonishment. Did Jiraiya really believe that was enough? He couldn't be that foolhardy. Trust. Between Am and Konoha, there are a mountain of dead I'd like to introduce you to. Jiraiya clasped his hands together, grin still in place. And yet it is all we can offer. All our words, all our deeds, whether we follow through with our aid or not. One day or another, you'll have to trust us. So, that's what we offer. Trust. Trust that we want a new and better world much like you. Trust that we do not wish to see you stab us in the back, and we don't want to do the same. Trust that when we pass, the next generation will have a better world to build upon. A new and better world. Pain would consider it, out of respect for his teacher that finally returned to see them. Peacefully at that. I will ponder on this. You are free to leave. You won't be hindered. Well, it was a start, Jiraiya decided. Better than he could have hoped for. Well, I'm sure you know how to reach Naruto. So reach us through him, and we can begin aid operations whenever you are ready. Conan stepped forward, ready to lead Jiraiya away with a smile on her face. This had gone much better than she could have ever hoped for. Maybe there was a chance. I'll see you out, Lord Jiraiya. Pain watched Jiraiya turn to leave for a moment before clearing his throat. Seeing Conan and Jiraiya pause, Pain stood slowly. One last question. If peace is meant to happen, do you think the world will still have a place for men and women like myself? Like yourself, like Naruto. All three of them, while idealists, were also monsters in their own right. That blood was not so easily washed away. In many ways, it would never fade completely. Jiraiya didn't even hesitate, already coming to a conclusion for that a long time ago. Here he pulled free one of his books, tossing it to land precisely on Nagato's desk. More than a world-renowned ninja and sage, I'm also an author. We all have to face one day that we must trade in our blades for tools of labor. Be it the till or the pen. Will this new world have a place for us? Certainly. The question is, can we let go of our own outdated pasts? I can. I believe Naruto can. Can you? There was a long silence that stretched on between them as Pain considered that. What would he do, without the threat of battles and war on the horizon? What else could he accomplish that could benefit his people? I will consider this as well. Do so. That's a signed copy as well, better appreciate it. With a laugh Jiraiya let himself be guided away. He had done what he had hoped to while here in Am. Now to return home and give Tsunade the news. And hopefully not get the snot kicked out of him. Pain watched them leave, the elevator doors closing with a sigh of quiet electronics. Reaching down to pick up his teacher's book, he read the cover aloud, Ika Tactics. Hey, some things never change. Perhaps, there was another answer out there. Something meaningful. Time would tell, he supposed. Mahahaha, I am a queen. Bow before my might and beg for mercy you shall not receive. An explosion rocked the area, and a woman's cackling echoed in the air. Fu did her best to ignore the nonsense being spouted by Naruto. The group had left Haruna and her retainers recently in the land of vegetables, secure in her position as daimyo and a tentative agreement of trade and a potential alliance with the Azu group in the works. That was a good thing and a new foothold on the eastern continent. Plus it allowed them to move on to their next target, the land of birds. Though, getting swarmed by a group of bandits was not on their list of things to do today. But Naruto had been happy to dissuade them. Another explosion rocked the carriage holding Kayuki, Shion and Fu. Scream. Cry. Beg. I'll grant you mercy when I decide you're done. Kayuki sighed and turned to Fu. Can't you, I don't know, control her? This is actually tame, all things considered. Shion sighed and decided the Uzumaki siblings were a special breed. How do you think things are going back home? She wondered what Naruto was up to right now. Did he miss her? Kayuki had a smile on her face as she relaxed back. No work to be done until they reached the daimyo's palace. Knowing Naruto, either something has been blown apart or things are as chaotic as usual. No in between. Shion giggled and nodded. I haven't been with you all long, but I can agree. Fu sighed, leaning out of the door to see Naruto with several black chakra chains holding beaten and broken bandits aloft. Were those dragon heads on the ends of the chains? Nope. Not her problem. Absolutely not something she wanted to dive into. Wrap it up. We have places to be. Or, I was having fun. Be a good kitty. Yes, ma'am. Kayuki rolled her eyes as Fu pulled herself back inside the carriage and closed the door. You two are a menace. Fu shrugged. We enjoy life. It was still such a treat for both of them. Shion seemed to think on things, eyes trailing up to the roof before snapping her fingers. Couldn't we send Naruto back to check on things and then return? Get an update on how things are in Azushio. Fu thought about that as well. Guess that shouldn't be too much of an issue. She has the chakra to spare. There was a final cackle and something that sounded like bones breaking and snapping, before with a short break a grinning and panting Naruto rejoined them inside the coach. Ah, that was good stress relief. Kayuki rolled her eyes as Fu cuddled into her girlfriend. Think that'll tide you over until we reach the land of birds. Guess it depends if anyone else feels like giving me a fight. Are we expecting anything when we get there? Kayuki goes over the file again as Shion relaxes a bit on her side of the seat. Some mention of a ghost warrior causing some trouble, probably a hoax of some sort. A ghost. Everyone else in the carriage paused as they turned wide eyes to the suddenly nervous Naruto. Was this real? Was the battle maniac actually shaking in her seat? Fu was the first to lean into the girl. Naruto. Are you afraid of ghosts? Me. Afraid of ghosts? No, of course not. Ghosts aren't real anyway. Ha 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 ha, not me. Nope. Kayuki shook her head. So something else the Uzumaki twins shared was it? The woman who used to be able to turn into a literal monster, afraid of ghosts. Now I've seen it all. But I was real. Ghosts are, well, I don't know what they are. But you can't fight M, or make M go away. There's something impossible. It's freaky. Kayuki turned to Shion with a sigh. Have you ever seen a ghost? Ever. I mean, I am a priestess. I've dealt with a few irregularities. Naruto pointed a rough finger at the woman. See. That's all I need. Proof. Rolling her eyes as Fu consoled the frantic Naruto, Kayuki went back to reading over the mission request. They had been away from Azushio for a long time now, and she was starting to get homesick. Perhaps she should put together a diplomatic team to handle these sort of issues from now on. So she could stay home and relax. She wondered how the rest of the girls were doing. Was Naruto up to trouble again? Most likely. Shion said her thoughts aloud, leaning against the wall with a sigh. When we return I'll have Lord Naruto pamper me for a week. No, 2 weeks straight. Kayuki could agree. Yes, 2 weeks of pampering and love. Just what the doctor ordered. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.